Hey guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I wanted to make a discussion video, sort of guide video, on how to level up your game. And I'm gonna roughly be going over three main things, some more important than others. But I think the core aspect of what I'm trying to tell you guys today, and what you should really be taking away from this video, now I'm gonna explain it more later on, but the core aspect of this video is make the game easy for yourself and hard for your opponent, right? Now, let's start with the number one thing that I want to talk about, and this is the most important one. You should always be testing your opponent. Always. What do I mean by test your opponent? I mean, you should always be keeping them on their toes, making sure they're being honest, and that's just, oh, they can't go for resources out in the middle of the map, or maybe you stop them from building a wall, or maybe they're just being really greedy within their base. 0 units maybe. And you have a few knights on the field. You should be running around their base, you should be running in their base, you should be doing everything you can to say, yo man, you can't have 0 units on the field. That's not okay. And one of the reasons I actually made this video, or am making this video, is I was watching another streamer coach a platinum level player, and he had 10 mounted samurai outside of his opponent's base, and the guy had 0 units. Legitimately 0 units. He could have run under the TC, won the game instantly, and that would be it. But he just chose not to. And that's what I mean, guys. You have to test your opponent. You have to make sure they're being honest, because, I mean, that's why you're losing games sometimes. Remember, you're up against a human opponent. Humans make mistakes. You should be at least trying to take advantage of them. The second thing I want to touch on, and this directly is a part of, trying to keep your opponent honest, is, yes, you should always be looking for places to fight, but you shouldn't always be taking that fight, right? And what I mean by that is, okay, Vortex sees that I'm building a villager here. This is maybe an easier spot to keep me honest than, this spot where I already have 2 towers, and I already have 1 tower and I'm building a second one, right? So choose and pick where you fight, because it's important to keep your opponent honest, but it's also important to not just always take a fight no matter what. Sometimes fights are bad. There's no problem with just running away, especially if you're cavalry. You should be doing this very often if you have cav units. Look for picks, look for engagements, but don't always take the fight. I'd say 80% of the time with cav, you're not taking the fight because you have the mobility advantage. If it's not a good fight, you can just run away and look for another location, right? Pick and choose. Don't always do it, but make sure your opponent's honest. Scout what they're doing, make sure they have an army, and it's important to do that. And you can see Vortex here does that perfectly. He understands the state of the game. I have to swap files. I wanted to show this video in particular because it really, in my opinion, highlights first three. Vortex is keeping me honest throughout the entire early game. He's doing a Mongol tower rush, and he's doing a great job at not allowing me to essentially do whatever I want. And then later in the game, I have to kind of throw that back towards him and say, wait, this is not okay. You can't have 9 villages on the deer. You can't have, only cav. You have to, it's a back and forth game, right? Now, keeping your opponent honest, throwing units into their base, like Vortex is doing, maybe the Geostones with the Keshex, is also a very good way of understanding the state of the game better, right? Vortex has pretty much just circled around my base, right? Scouted the towers, scouted where I'm getting wood, scouted that I was trying to secure this deer pack. And because he's done this, he is now he's understand the state of the game much better than someone who's, you know, just AFKing his Keshix at the front of my base near the tower, right? And you can see it very much so. He sees, oh, I have a stable, or I have 2 archer ranges. I'm playing quite defensive, right, with the 2 towers. And he says, okay, I pushed him off this side. Let's test him on this side, right? And he's been consistently testing me on the wood pack, on the wood line. And he does choose to try to take a fight here. Not an amazing fight, I'll be honest, but it does kind of tell him, you know, the state of the game, right? It says, okay, he has a small ultra mass, and he's transitioning into knights. What's my next move here? Because it's not an awful fight for him, right? It's not a great fight, but it's not an awful fight. He just decides, I can't really get damage done here at this point, right? But even with that being said, he says, okay, I actually have a lot more info than I did previously. Now, let's swap towards me, because this is the stage of the game where I need to be kind of throwing it back a little bit, because I'm finally getting this Knight Mass. And you don't always have to be testing your opponent. Like, I wasn't testing my opponent at the start of the game, but especially if you're going Knights. If you're going Knights, it's pretty much essential to be testing your opponent, because that's where a lot of the value of your Knights are coming from its mobility, right? Obviously, if you're playing the more mobile, static, defensive kind of game, there's other things that I recommend, right? And that's probably just like building defenses. We're gonna talk about that a little bit more. I just want to show you guys my side of keeping Vortex on his feet, because it's important that I do this. You can see I have my army here as well, just making sure that I'm not losing any villagers. And I go straight for the deer pack. I'm not cheating or anything, it's just, you know, I see the deer on the map and you head few units that direction, right? I'm gonna get into that a little bit later in the game. But playing the map based on resources is the third thing I want to talk about in this game, for sure. Alright, now I have knights on the field. I'm going to be consistently testing Vortex, making sure that he is honest. Another thing that we missed, but I should have shown you guys, maybe if we had a replay function we could show you guys, is that I even went into his base a little bit. Now, I immediately saw that he was going exposed, that he was reacting properly to my aggression, and so I backed off, but it does give me the information that, oh, okay, now he's transitioning into exposed to deal with my knights. That is good information to have, right? The next unit composition that he's having. So, I got 2 villager kills, not that much, but I also got quite a bit of info. So, with that being said, I want to talk about the next thing that, in my opinion, is not as focused on, but is important for the overall theme of the video, and that is to make the game easier for you. And that is just building defenses. And I'm going to highlight, in my opinion, the slight difference between how me and Vortex play, and I do like my playstyle better. And maybe I'm a little biased, but I think you should be making a lot of defenses in your game. And there's a few reasons for that, and I'm going to show you here. Number 1, defenses are cheap. They really are, and they give you a lot of vision. They protect your villagers. In my opinion, no reason for you not to make defenses on, you know, your gold mine. If I was to move out to the berries, I would make a tower here. If If I was to move out to the bull, I'd make a tower there. If I was to move out to the deer, I would make a tower there. Or 2, right? Because protecting your villagers is a key aspect to this game. Villagers are everything. They are everything. And the second reason is, I'll show you right here. Vortex has about more than 1k units on his villagers right now. Now, it's a good way to protect your units. It is. So your villagers, but guys, what's more expensive? 1k in units or 200 resources in towers? Right? And these are units that could be doing other stuff on the map. They could be attacking these villagers or defending his base. Like, they do not need to be here, right? Despite, okay, they might deal with this knight, but you know, 10 units to deal with one knight doesn't really make sense. So, in this situation, you're not only making your life easier, but if they're not building towers, if they're not following the rule that you are, you're actually making their life harder by forcing them to keep units near their villages at all times. And one thing I recommend to do that is, if you're playing a knight kind of styled composition, is keep your knights in their side of the map, and then just keep your main army, your archers, your spearmen, maybe your rallied knights in your base to defend. So that you always have like one big army, one small army. It's a very easy way to play the game, and you can control group all of these units, and then you can control group these. You don't even need more than like 2 control groups, right? Unless you want to get fancy. So build defenses. It makes your game easier. It makes their game harder. You can see, again, I'm testing my opponent. This is a very back and forth game, very crazy game that I really think does a really good job of showing the, I don't want to say complexity, but the pressure that me and Vortex are putting on each other to make each other's game harder. And I think I said this earlier, but remember, you're playing against a human opponent. People make mistakes. You should never not do something just because you're like, oh, this guy's too good. Like, if that's the case, you know, test them. If you see that, okay, they have a shit ton of units here, back off and go somewhere else, you know? Backing off, you don't pay any price for backing off, especially with knights. You can see it right here. Okay, he scouts what I'm doing. He actually sees the TC, I think. Yep, he sees the TC, and he says, okay, I'll just back off. And the final thing I want to discuss with you guys, and this relates into everything I've been talking about, but we need to talk about playing for resources on the map. It's important when you're raiding, and this is probably something you're going to struggle with, at least initially, is targeting resources on the map. Yeah, see, this is a fight that I probably should have ran away faster from, but that's another thing you're going to have to adjust to. So, playing for resources on the map. Now, if you've been watching this game from the start, you have understood that I've been really condensed within my base, and I haven't really been able to gather a lot of info on Vortex because he's been applying such heavy aggression to me, right? He built the tower here, he was attacking my wood mine, he was attacking my deer, he was attacking my gold mine. So I don't have that info that he does, but what I do have is I have the map layout, right? I scouted the map at the start of the game. I know that his deer pack is here. I know that his second gold mine is here. I know that his initial gold mine is here. I know that his wood mine is here. And without any info, that's where you guys should be heading towards first. Berries. Gold. And this is something you should be asking yourself at the start of the game. You know, in the middle of the game when you're raiding with your knights, and at the end of the game when you're maybe doing a big push. Where's his most vulnerable spot? You know, what spot does he need the most, really? A lot of the time it's gold, a lot of the time it's food in the early game. But those are things you should be asking yourself. So, the final thing I want to talk about is... Oh, I just had it in my mind. The final thing I want to talk about is... Okay, actually, in this game, Vortex goes for an imp. Vortex goes imp, right? And I'm actually in a pretty good situation here. I have a second TC, I have the army value advantage, and... Yes... Like, he might have a shit ton of... He might even have a Bombo Tower, a Spring All Tower, he has a lot of Expos, right? And yes... It could be very costly to actually dive into his base, into that army, but... You know, if I dive in and I see that, I can just retreat immediately, right? But that's part of testing your opponent. Okay, I finally remember what I was thinking of earlier. This comes back to the resources, scouting for resources on the map. Let's say in the early game, your opponent is going heavy knight spear composition, right? Well, what are the most common units? I mean, what do knights and spearmen cost the most of? Food. So you see knight spearmen, you should be targeting food resources, right? Deer, berries, deer, sheep. Let's say your opponent transitions into Kesheks in the mid game, which he did. Well, now I should be targeting gold resources. Let's say your opponent's playing Abbasid and he's massing a lot of ultras. Okay, I should be targeting wood. Let's say my opponent's playing English and he's massing a lot of longbow. Okay, again, I should be targeting wood. What unit your opponent is building is the best way to target resources on the map. Because, I mean, it's obvious, right? Like, if they can't build that unit, then they're going to have to build a different unit. And they've already upgraded that unit, they've already invested into that unit. It's not ideal for them to switch immediately. Especially, you know, if they have a bunch of villages. They'd have to idle those as well, right? So, yeah. Build defenses, make your life easier. Test your opponent, make their lives harder, and play based on the map, based on your opponent's unit compositions. Make your opponent's life harder, make your life easier. That is the cool aspect of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned a few things from it. And let's see the final fight here. Not the final fight, but me testing my opponent, Vortex, once again. I say, okay, this is a great fight to take. I'm going to try to eliminate the Expos before I move in with my Knights. But I'm happy to take this fight. If I wasn't happy, I'd just run away, right? Kill some villagers. Get a lot of villagers, 16 villagers. Okay, I'm not going to kill them, but in my opinion, that was a successful pressure. Alright guys, thank you for watching, and I hope to catch you on the next one. Take care, everybody.